Welcome back. My name is Charisma and I'm the principal attorney here at High Tide Legal, and today I'm going to be discussing trademarks, especially as it relates to those who write blogs, book writers, and podcasters. So be sure to stick around.
Hey, if you live in the state of North Carolina, I'm starting a monthly newsletter just for you concerning all things business. So be sure to head over to my website after you watch this video to subscribe today.
Hello. So I'm excited today for our topic because this is a highly requested topic and something that entrepreneurs always want to know about. How can they protect their brand? Which is very smart. So I'm excited to get right into this topic, and I hope that it is helpful for you all, especially those who write blogs, who podcast, and for those who want to write a book. Good information ahead. Okay, so the first thing I want to get into is what is the purpose of a trademark? So a trademark offers you protection of your brand name or your logo used on your good or service. So we like to make that differentiation because it's not to technically protect. It doesn't offer the same protections as a copyright or a patent. It has to be connected to a good or a service that you are offering to the public. So with the trademark, I want to be able to break down the different types of trademark that you may see when you are looking to register a trademark. So you have the federal registered trademarks, you have state trademarks, and then you have common law trademarks. Common law trademarks is when it pretty much is created when you start using that name or logo within commerce. The only difference is you will not be able to get a trademark outside of the geographic areas that you are actually using, or the geographic areas where the trademark is actually being used. Whereas for federal registered trademark, regardless whether you have entered into that particular geographic area, so long as you can establish use in interstate commerce, you'll still have that protection across the 50 states. With the common law trademark, if you do not take that extra step to file it with the federal registry, then you will only have protections for that name within that geographic area, so long as not someone else who also has a trademark or a registered trademark. You will have those rights to that name regardless of if you have ever registered anything with your state or the federal government. So the piggyback off for what I just broke down about the common law trademarks, I also want to be able to point out some caveats. So when you file your trademark with the USPTO, you do receive that federal level of protection. However, if there is someone else who does not have a trademark registered with the USPTO and they have established common law rights to that mark within certain geographic areas, they could still go to the court and basically have your brand or your goods or service barred for being sold under that particular name within that geographic area, irregardless of if they have filed a federal trademark. So I do want you all to know that, because there are some common law trademarks protections that are available to people. So I don't want to mislead anyone to think that if I get a trademark file, it can never be challenged, because that is not the case. So I want to make sure that you know that, because oftentimes people do not know that and they think that they have superior rights just because they took the extra step to file with the federal registry. So the piggyback off for what I just broke down about the common law trademarks, I also want to be able to point out some caveats. So when you file your trademark with the USPTO, you do receive that federal level of protection. However, if there is someone else who does not have a trademark registered with the USPTO and they have established common law rights to that mark within certain geographic areas, they could still go to the court and basically have your brand or your goods or service barred for being sold under that particular name within that geographic area, irregardless of if they have filed a federal trademark. So I do want you all to know that, because there are some common law trademarks protections that are available to people. So I don't want to mislead anyone to think that if I get a trademark file, it can never be challenged, because that is not the case. So I want to make sure that you know that, because oftentimes people do not know that and they think that they have superior rights just because they took the extra step to file with the federal registry. Another thing that I want you all to know is that after you receive those protections from the USPTO of your brand name or your logo, it is then your responsibility to police that use. So basically, that means that after you receive those protections, you're not going to be notified by the USPTO if someone else is using that name without your permission. It's your job to make sure that you're protecting your rights to that name, and it's your job to take it to court to cease the use of the name by someone else that you have not given permission to use that name. The other point that I want you all to know is that when you receive those trademark protections, it's only going to cover and offer you protection within that class of good and services. So for example, say for instance, if someone has the brand name Yellow Bus and that is connected to the service of having a kids play area, and someone has a brand name named Yellow Bus and it is for supplies for school buses. With that, you're not going to be able to assert rights against each other because they will be up under different classes of good and services. So you have to know that your brand name is not going to just be an umbrella for anything you could possibly think of. It's going to be narrowed down to whatever class of good and services that you put on your application. Now, if you intend on using your brand name in multiple classes, you have to make sure that you identify those different classes on your application, which is an additional fee. For each class is an additional fee, but you have to make sure that you identify that if you intend on using that brand name outside of just a kids play area. If you intend on using that brand name to create a clothing line, then you need to make sure that you put that and identify that on your application. So the first question is, can I trademark my book title? Can my book title receive trademark protections? The answer to that is no. The only time a book can receive trademark protections is if it is a book series. So for instance, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That is a book title name that has a series. So he released many books up under that same title. So unless you plan on releasing a series of books, you cannot receive trademark protections for your book title name. Can I trademark my podcast name? The answer is absolutely. In fact, there are two different classes that you can file, you can put on your application. That is Class 9 or Class 41. Now, if you intend on using this brand name for other goods and services outside of just your podcast, you want to make sure that you identify each class on that application so that you'll be able to have those protections in different classes and different groups of goods and services. Can my blog name receive trademark protections? Absolutely. The only thing about the blogs and receiving those trademark protections, you want to be aware of that the content on your blog is not protected by trademark law. That will be covered under copyright law. However, your brand name associated with that blog is able to receive those trademark protections. With both the podcast and the blogs, you want to make sure that you have a unique name, something that is distinctive and something that will increase your likelihood of your trademark application being approved. Now, you don't want to pick something that is generic, something that has already been used by someone else. So make sure that you do a name search or get an attorney who can do a proper name search for you. It is statistically known that when you don't use an attorney, the likelihood of your application being denied increases. So you want to make sure that you get someone who knows how to do the application so that you won't have to spend an excess amount of money because your application was not done correctly. You want to make sure also, in addition to you using a distinct name, you want to make sure that you are using it in commerce. So that means that you have a web page and a URL or something that you will be able to submit to the USPTO to show that you are using that particular brand name or logo in commerce. Otherwise, if you are just thinking about starting a podcast or thinking about a blog or thinking about a book series, you won't be able to receive trademark protections if you have not yet started using that in commerce. It's not something that is cumbersome for you to prove to USPTO, But I do want to make sure that it's something that's actually being used. Now, if you just want to reserve the right to that name and you haven't yet started to use it in commerce, but you know that this is going to be the name of your business, then you can file what's called an intent to use application. And that basically just reserves the right to that brand name or logo. So once you come back and prove that you're using it in commerce, your rights to that name will date back to the date in which you first filed the application, the intent to use application. So if this is something that you want to do, then look into that, speak with an attorney that they may be able, so that they can assist you with that process as well, because it's a lot of different fees and filings that are associated with the intent to use application. You want to make sure that you abide to the guidelines that the USPTO has set out there. Well, thank you all again for watching. I do plan on putting some more videos out about trademarks, so don't forget to subscribe down below and be sure to share this with your friends and family members. Thank you all again for watching, and I hope that y'all have a good day.